Welcome to this exciting session for product builders interested in LimaCharlie SecOps Cloud Platform. My name is Christopher Luft, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this session. As one of the co-founders of LimaCharlie, I'm passionate about the transformative power of the SecOps Cloud Platform, and joining me to offer insight and expertise is Matt Bromiley, our lead sales engineer. Throughout the ensuing conversation, we will lay out how the SecOps Cloud Platform enables product builders like you to deliver value to customers quickly and efficiently, drastically reducing time to market. Along with this, we will be talking about how the SecOps Cloud Platform can help you scale your products effortlessly without the need to reinvent the wheel for core capabilities like building an endpoint agent. Matt, it's great to have you here. How are you doing today?
Hey, Chris, it's great to see you, and it's great to be here as well. I'm excited today to kind of talk about the approach that the SecOps Cloud Platform can have and the way that builders can really take advantage of it. This is one of my favorite things to ever talk about when we talk about what LimaCharlie can do and how it can be utilized. And man, I got to say, I'm excited to be here with you today to go over this. So first, I'll start with thanks for having me because it's fun to be here, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion today.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. So we're expecting a lot of folks here who are new to LimaCharlie and the SecOps Cloud Platform. Let's kick things off with you helping everyone understand what the SecOps Cloud Platform is and how it is revolutionizing the world of security product development. Let's start with what I think is the most obvious question. What is the SecOps Cloud Platform?
Yeah, so the starting point for a cloud platform really is understanding that it's a set of primitives and different pieces that you want to put together to get to an end result. And I'm probably at like a 500,000 foot view right there. If I wanted to go build an application or some sort of customer facing thing today or a support service or whatever it might be, back in the old days, you might go and I'm maybe dating myself a little bit here, but back in the old days, you'd go and you'd source hardware and you'd go build a server, or you'd rent a space in someone's server, in a physical device. Meaning there was like a thing in a colo and someone was renting space out, and it was definitely a little bit of a scalable model where you didn't have to have such a hardware in investment. However, there was obviously limitations, and it was super costly to get there as well. Costly in the sense that you're either managing the infrastructure of that infrastructure, or you're paying someone else to do it, and you're paying as such accordingly. But the cloud platform came about and revolutionized all of that by saying, hey, if you need to prop up or create a thing like an application, let's just use an application as a really easy example. I might need a little bit of storage. I might need a little bit of DNS, a little bit of hosting, a little bit of, virtual machine, a little bit of database. I'm going to bring those things together in a cohesive way that allows me to build and construct the thing I'm looking to build and construct. Now, there's a couple of inherent kind of capabilities here. One of them being, I want these things to be interoperable, really easily interoperable. I don't want to have to hire a database administrator to connect to my web front end. Similarly, I only want to pay for what I'm utilizing at the time. So if I'm paying for storage and I'm utilizing half a gigabyte of storage, I want to pay for that half gigabyte. I don't want to be locked into kind of a band or a tier. And that's the other thing that the cloud platform opens up, is it opens up really enormous efficiencies and cost savings. And then there's a flip side to that coin, Chris, which is I also want to be able to scale infinitely. Now, obviously, there is a limitation. There's a limit on silicon in the world. However, when I say scale infinitely, I mean, if I run something really successful and I have one customer today, 2 customers tomorrow, and 10 customers in 2 days, and 100 customers in a week, I don't want to be the one who's constantly retooling my back end in order to meet that demand. I want to be able to say, scale up, and go. So all of those ideas and approaches that are utilized by almost any business and industry out there today, we want to do the exact same. In fact, we do the exact same, but we do it from a security ops perspective. We say the different things that I need to provide that security ops capability, be it ingesting of telemetry, be it detecting malicious activity or detecting activity of interest, be it outputting to locations, be it extending my capabilities, very similar to that web app, being able to add things on and create and change the way that I offer a service or offer a product. That's LimaCharlie. So it's that cloud platform idea, but with a SecOps lens or a SecOps focus. What that means, Chris, is the various primitives that you've got inside of LimaCharlie are geared towards security functionality. And that may be monitoring, it may be detection, it may be correlation, collation, it may be all sorts of capabilities. But that security lens helps put a little bit of perspective on the types of things that we want to work with and the types of data that we want to have kind of in our arsenal, if you will.
Okay, so this is what a future with the SecOps Cloud Platform can look like. Let's take a step back. Let's imagine a world without the SecOps Cloud Platform. For a product builder today who has an idea to build a complex security product that maybe leverages user behavior telemetry and machine learning to detect and respond to unauthorized users, what would that journey look like for someone trying to bring this idea to life today?
Yeah. So the first step there, if I'm a builder and I'm looking to bring those things together, and I'm super glad you mentioned things like if I'm trying to utilize, various pieces of telemetry and machine learning, the first thing I've got to do is I've got to find a way to bring all of these pieces together. And if I don't have some sort of a correlative infrastructure, which is built to ingest multiple pieces of data, I'm likely going to be utilizing a SIM, or I'm likely going to be utilizing some sort of aggregation tool, might even just be a database. We see a lot of builders these days who build their initial products on top of search engines, not like the Googles, of course, but like things that are geared towards data searching, because that's kind of the easiest starting point is like, well, I need some giant thing to hold all my data, and that's a database, right? So that's where they end up kind of bringing all their data in, number one. Number two, then they've got to get smart about all those different data pieces that come in. So they've got to normalize everything. They've got to turn it into the same type of format so that they can understand and work with it easier. They've likely got to spend time ingesting and connecting all of those sources. There's so many different pieces there, Chris. In fact, one of the biggest pain points that I've heard about and I continuously see in kind of like conversations I have and other industry related activities that I do is the idea of bringing in and unifying data is a really big pain point. I mean, there are some organizations out there utilizing dozens of different types of applications. And we're talking everything from security based products, including or up to SaaS applications, cloud platforms, really anything that could impact that security footprint has to be included in that umbrella. And we're talking dozens of applications, dozens of resources, bringing all of that data into one place and trying to do it manually and then normalizing. I mean, it's 80% of the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe 10% of what you need to then get started. Then we've got to be able to find anomalies, detect and respond against it, Chris. So at this point, we're months in. The only thing we've done is integrated data into a certain place. Or I've gone to a platform, some other tool that says, hey, I can integrate all of these things for you. Now, if I'm a builder, the tough part about that approach is I'm now building whatever it is I want to build on top of the constraints and limitations of another platform. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm asking builders to consider the environment that you're building on top of, or the capabilities or the platform or the product that you might be building your product on top of. What inherent limitations is that product placing on what you can do? Sometimes we see those limitations on telemetry. Oh yeah, we can ingest 4 of the 6 things that you really want in. But that's okay. You can, 4 out of 6 isn't bad, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, we don't bring in that particular data type. However, if you do this kind of finagling of data and bring things around, we can maybe kind of get it to work for you. Or my favorite one, yes, we ingest all types of data. However, you need to figure out the formatting. You need to figure out how to parse it and how to work through it. So the point I'm getting to, Chris, is we haven't even gotten to the end of that builder journey. And the only thing we've spent the past few minutes talking about is wrangling data and getting it into one place. And when you ask me about what's the future like without this, I say that's where people spend most of their time, is they spend most of their time building the different connectors and pieces that actually allow this data to be brought in one place. And then the thing they want to build goes on top of that. So if you're talking about utilizing telemetry and maybe looking at kind of AI or ML capabilities, AI and ML, they're going to need as much data as possible to build those models and to work and learn and get better. If I'm shortcutting or limiting the amount of data I'm sending into those models, then I, as a builder, am not really flexing on the thing it is that I wanted to build. I'm not flexing on my skills or maybe even on the vision that I had promised. We've seen this before. I won't name any names, but we've seen this before where we've seen certain products come about that are designed to be kind of self-learning or assisted defense devices, AI, ML powered, so on and so forth. And when you really drill down into it, they're doing their analytics on top of 4 or 5 Windows event log IDs. And I have to think to myself, in the world of telemetry that every organization, every enterprise has today, limiting your technical capabilities to 4 or 5 single entries from a single piece of telemetry, not really expanding on the model. And if I'm a builder and my job or my goal, my destiny was to build that thing, shortcutting yourself on telemetry isn't really building what it is you want to build. And it's not allowing for you to utilize your strong skills there. So I view it a little bit as if I'm simply accepting a second best approach because, well, it's what I got right now. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to really build what it is you want to build.
So how does the SecOps Cloud Platform simplify that process and help you build your product faster and more efficiently?
So, I mean, the first part is you heard me go for minutes talking about data wrangling. We take care of that. The infrastructure is taken care of. The scalability is taken care of. The normalization is taken care of. The ability to unify and understand your data is taken care of. In the SecOps Cloud Platform, you're not ingesting indices of data into databases. You're bringing in live streams of telemetry. They're parsed, they're normalized. You can action against them immediately. Chris, if you and I opened up LimaCharlie and we sent in 10 gigs worth of data, we're able to action and build on top of that data immediately, just because of the way that we handle data when it's brought in. So the time to skill building, right? Think about the 2 examples. The time to me getting to that MLAI development part, which is what my skill set would be as a builder, is, I don't want to say instantaneous, but could be single day in some cases. I'm not wrangling data and dealing with all these different things, right? And then it goes a step further. If I free up all your time by managing your infrastructure, I give you time to work on your skills and what you're good at. That means your product gets better, faster. And that means you're able to then turn around and offer it faster to your subsequent consumers. So the really nice takeaway there is we, LimaCharlie, we're helping those builders get to market faster with a more complete product than probably what they thought they were going to have in those first few stages.
Yeah. So time to market is a huge advantage that the SecOps Cloud Platform offers. But with the competitive landscape being such and margins super tight, how does the SecOps Cloud Platform address the concern of cost, particularly when it comes to things like the endpoint agent?
Yeah, so this is one area where we've been very, very sensitive and aware of how the industry works because, again, the industry approach in security has been, well, it's an endpoint agent and everyone around me is charging X, so I'm going to charge X plus 1 or X minus 1% and call myself a deal. We are a SecOps Cloud Platform, okay? Which means not only do we want to offer these capabilities, but we want to do so at a cost-effective capability. We're not going to overcharge or doubly charge or increase that charge just because that's what the rest of the industry is doing. We're going to look at it and say, very similar to the way that, again, I would go to a cloud platform. You go to a cloud platform, you say, hey, I need a little bit of storage. Perfect. You pay a little bit of money. Hey, I need a lot of storage. Perfect. You pay an equal proportionate amount to what you need. We take the exact same approach. We're able to be very cost efficient because we find efficiencies ourselves in building out the infrastructure and we pass those on down to our customers as well. We actually had this happen very recently at LimaCharlie. We had someone on the engineering team figure out, hey, here's a way within the SecOps Cloud Platform I can make some of the data lookups that we were performing much quicker, much more efficient. And guess what that did? That was an immediate cost reduction for the customers who are utilizing that. And I think that's the other big mindset change, Chris, is saying we're a cloud platform. Our job is to enable builders. Our job is to enable people to build things on top of us. We can't do that. And they can't do that if we lock them in at super high prices, if we force them to define some sort of a pricing band that they're in, or if we wrap all of their initial startup costs in simply providing infrastructure. I'd rather go the other route and say, you're looking to build on top of us. Let's help you build together. Let's help you build together. I know we're cost efficient. I know we've got the capabilities. We can bring all that together. And when you get to things like an endpoint agent, which has typically kind of been one of the staples of security, I need to get some telemetry from a system. The endpoint agent ends up being the one that everybody kind of based their costs on top of. However many things you have deployed is how much your costs start at as a floor, and everything else gets added on top of that. We took a different approach. The endpoint agent should be table stakes in security. If I'm a builder, the endpoint agent should be a table stake for telemetry. It should be table stakes as a delivery mechanism. It should be the thing that I can use to build and expand further. It should not be the product that we offer and then that's it. So it goes along the lines with how we look at approaching things. Our endpoint agent it's not an AV, Chris. It's not a standalone security device. Just set it and forget it. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to help someone build on top of, whether that's collecting and acting on telemetry or serving things through the endpoint agent. Both are possible.
Do you want to quickly sort of expand on the Endpoint Bus-as-a-Service?
Yeah, absolutely. So this goes along with that same idea, which is if I've got an endpoint agent, an endpoint sensor, you'll also hear me refer to them as, that is not a executable that gets installed and then gets left in the corner and untouched until it starts screaming at everybody. Again, we're a very, very open and capable platform because we want to enable folks to do more. The Endpoint Bus-as-a-Service is a realization that you've already got something deployed on that endpoint, and it's the LimaCharlie sensor. If I've got one thing deployed, I want to minimize how many other things I need to get deployed. Now, in a lot of cases, you'll have multiple products within a tech stack that all require an endpoint agent. Let's just hypothetically say I've got an EDR, I've got an AV, because my EDR and AV are different vendors for whatever reason. I've got an asset management tool, some sort of network monitoring thing that may be some sort of endpoint agent. I've got firewalls running. We've got an identity provider. Like we've got, that may be cloud hosted, or maybe I've got an on system presence depending on the way my architecture is set up. But it's not hard to imagine an environment that's rocking 5, 6, 7 different types of agents installed. And I know every business out there is trying to minimize that, right? The Endpoint Bus-as-a-Service, Chris, focuses on saying the endpoint agent, the LimaCharlie endpoint agent that helps deliver the power of the SecOps Cloud Platform is already a vehicle. We shouldn't need to go and utilize more vehicles and build more roads to get the functionality done. I can say, hey, LimaCharlie endpoint agent, I want you to help me make sure AV is installed. I want you to help me test my security controls. I want you to help me deliver advanced forensic and IR capabilities. I want you, and we'll use the case study we talked about just a moment ago, I want you to be the one that helps me collect the right parts of telemetry and the right artifacts so I can build those different types of models on top of them. And then because of that, it's not just an endpoint sensor. We've seen our endpoint sensor, the same executable, the same installer, used as an endpoint sensor, a detection and response engine, a threat hunting tool, a digital forensic and IR tool, a retainer-based tool, a security control testing tool, asset management and visibility. I mean, the possibilities are endless when you have an open platform that's really easy to use like ours is.
Okay, so from a developer's perspective, what makes working with the SecOps Cloud Platform a tool you want to work with?
From a developer's perspective, there's a few things that are important to have. API first should be table stakes these days. We don't want to upcharge and charge someone extra for an API. We want to make that, kind of a staple. Multi-tenancy, and then everything is code, Chris, I think are going to be like the 3 kind of key important parts. And I know everything is code is an umbrella, but everything as code allows you to build scale quickly. Multi-tenancy allows you to have multiple customers in multiple separate environments. And API first means you can build the way you want to build. On top of that, control over your data, control over the technology, documentation. These are all things that I think should be staples of the industry. I'm going to include them because we have them and I think they're fantastic resources. However, I know a lot of folks aren't used to having that. Documentation is locked behind a paywall, or integrations are an upcharge, or an API key is limited by number of seats. Like everyone's used to these restrictions. We remove all those. We make it and say, hey, if you want to build. We give you all the resources you need, and then we'll work with you if there's something we don't have.
Scalability can be a huge challenge. Often the implementation of a product idea can run into trouble as things scale. And what happens is that people trying to build products start running into architectural problems at the worst time when they start to grow fast. How does using the SecOps Cloud Platform to build your product mitigate these issues and ensure smooth scaling?
Yeah. So again, focusing on infrastructure, focusing on taking care of the headache of scalability helps meet the demands of business without needing to go and buy other things or other people or other investments in technology. And I think, Chris, this is one of those important takeaways here. Infrastructure for a lot of people is a headache. Okay. It's not that it's impossible. It's that it's a headache. It's not like, I wish I could grow bigger and you can't. It's, I need to learn how to handle and wrangle this technology so I can grow bigger. Not here. We look at scalability as a headache that we can easily solve for you because, again, taking care of the infrastructure solves that problem.
So is there a limit to how fast and big the SecOps Cloud Platform can scale?
Chris, in my experience, the only limit is the size of the data centers that we're in. So no, not at all.
So Google scale, that's the
Google
limit.
scale. That's right.
All right. So one thing that I think can get forgotten in conversations about building products sometimes is the cost of maintenance, especially with complex technologies that have a presence on the endpoint and interact with various cloud providers. How does the SecOps Cloud Platform help with this?
Yeah. So again, this is something that I think ties into that whole infrastructure and scalability based discussion where we take away your need as a builder to focus on those maintenance and those trivial things that you'd have to deal with, right? The last thing I want a builder to be worried about is whether they patched the database correctly last night. The last thing I want a builder to worry about is uptime. The last thing I want a builder to worry about is, does my security thing interact with that data feed that I promised the customer I'd be able to integrate? And the SecOps Cloud Platform, again, it removes all of those concerns. It removes those hurdles. It removes those headaches by simply making an open and very accessible platform. The other little thing I'll drop in here, I mentioned this a moment ago about kind of everything as code, if you will. This is another area where I think the issues that folks have seen in building products get solved is when I'm able to view an infrastructure, a security infrastructure on the SecOps Cloud Platform, when I'm able to see that organization as code, you're able to visualize and scale things differently if you need to. So it may sound a little weird, Chris, but one of the other big things that cloud providers have done is they've made the maintenance an easy task, right? Oh, I need more storage in my platform. One API call, you're done. LimaCharlie, I need a new organization for this feature set and functionality. One API call and you're done. So by making everything an API call away, you're good to go. It's much easier and we solve that problem faster.
Awesome. So one example I think that's worth talking about is Blumira, a Series B company with approximately 70 employees who built one of their core technologies using the SecOps Cloud Platform. Can you tell us a bit about how they accelerated time to market by leveraging our pre-built security infrastructure?
Yeah, Chris, Blumira is one of my favorite case studies here. They are a managed security provider who was looking to build out XDR services and XDR capabilities. They wanted to grow and scale their business, right? They wanted to build more. Ding, 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 ding. You can hear all those different kind of headaches that I've talked about arising. They came to LimaCharlie and were like, hey, we've got this concept, this idea that we want to build. How quickly can we build this out? We've got a team of engineers ready to go. So for anyone who's curious, how a reputable company, good sized company can go from concept to production, a full customer facing XDR platform, concept to production, 4 months. 4 months, a powerful XDR that was able to allow them to expand their services, expand the business, advance capabilities within a 4-month period. That right there is the power of the SecOps Cloud Platform. I can take a concept and say, I need to get this thing done. I need security primitives to make it happen. Let me put the right pieces of the puzzle in the right order and boom, customer facing, revenue generating in 4 months. One of the fastest turnarounds that I've ever seen from a security perspective.
Yeah, and they've been great customers of LimaCharlie, and that relationship continues to grow. So it's
shout out to that team. They're a fantastic team. Blumira team's a great set of people.
So some of you may not have heard, but the cat's out of the bag. At Google Next, LimaCharlie CEO and founder Maxime Lamotte-Broussard presented on stage and formally released our new bi-directional functionality. Matt, can you explain what this means and what the key benefits are?
I'm really excited about this release, and it's one of my favorite things of 2024 so far. Bi-directionality is the ability to interact with a telemetry source that you've been receiving data from. So in its simplest form, it's being able to reach back to a source, be it an EDR sensor, a cloud platform, a log thing, whatever it might be, and reach back to that source and action based on telemetry that you've received. The purest and simplest form, the one that we've known about and is quite frankly a staple of the security industry, has obviously been an EDR sensor. An EDR sensor sends me telemetry. It might send me alerts. It might send me on some sort of on-disk analysis, and I can reach back to that sensor and do things. I can collect files, kill a process, kill a network connection, whatever it might be. I can also ask that particular sensor questions, such as, what is the file listing of your C drive or of your root directory? What users are logged in? That is bi-directionality in its purest form. It's often been reserved for just hosts, though. One of the key benefits of the way that we're doing this, Chris, is we're exposing bi-directionality to almost any telemetry source that's out there by utilizing the native tools that we use to interact with those. And I'll drill into that one in just a second here. However, what this does is it allows you to take any telemetry source that you can bring in, and then you can subsequently say, I want to construct detection and response rules that allow me to go back to that source and do a thing. So just like my EDR is actionable, I can now open up response capabilities for cloud-based platforms, for cloud-hosted platforms. Think email, think identity management, think cloud platforms where I've got threat actors who live just in those platforms. Think SaaS applications. All of these things that are typically treated as secondary or tertiary sources now become primary drivers of response. In my opinion, it just opens up the world as to what can be built. Typically, and I'll talk about the difference between some other automation platforms here. Typically, it's combining multiple platforms together. My telemetry's here, my detection and response is there. I send things over to some sort of an automation platform, and hopefully the link between these three things never changes, and one of them reaches back to the original source, and this web of whatever APIs that we've constructed together will hopefully stand strong. Take out all that complexity, again, focusing on efficiencies. And if I'm a builder who wants to take advantage of any piece of that combination, LimaCharlie brings it all into one place. LimaCharlie brings it all into one place and lets me say, I want to do X, Y, Z against A, B, C telemetry. And I want to do all of this without any concern as to whether or not these things are going to continue to talk to each other. That's the power of bringing all these things together.
And how will that enhancement impact our product building audience here?
Yeah, this allows them to go a little bit further in their detection and response capabilities. So if I'm building out something that focuses on detecting anomalous activity, well, the natural security follow-up to, was that thing bad? Yes. Was that thing suspicious? Yes. The natural follow-up is, well, let me go investigate it further, or let me stop it. Right? If I got a bad user logging in, I'm not going to sit and watch just for fun. Maybe there's an intel reason, but I wouldn't do that. By dropping in bi-directionality for any source, it allows you to expand that what next question to any platform that's out there, Chris. So again, I'm able to say, I want to detect suspicious activity inside of my random cloud platform that only a few of my customers use. We can do that. You're not needing to bring other products together. And that's the other huge benefit. You're not needing to source other products and then link them all together. You're actually able to do everything inside of LimaCharlie.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. Your expertise and knowledge is wonderful. There you have it, folks. The SecOps Cloud Platform is the secret weapon you need to bring your security product visions to life faster and more efficiently than ever before. If you managed to catch all three of our sessions today, bravo to you. All of these sessions are available on our website and on our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to learn more about the SecOps Cloud Platform and how it can help you, please schedule a demo with our team. All the links are listed below in the description. And thanks again for joining us.
Chris, thanks for having me. And thanks everyone for watching.